This is a walk around video of my 2020 Auto-Sleeper Broadway EB. EB meaning end bathroom. It's pretty standard, other than there are a few detail changes, like it's got LED bulbs fitted. If you've driven one of these Ducato based vehicles, you'll know that the headlights are terrible. It's had 2 MOTs since they've been installed, and it's passed on both occasions without any questions. It's also got an upgraded horn for inactive or inattentive car drivers. Mirror covers. The rest of it's fairly standard, but I'll show you some of the differences as we go around. There's a 3 metre, I think it is, awning on the roof. Actually, it might be 4 metres. But it's a wind-out awning. There's a handle inside. This is a Euro 6 vehicle, so it has AdBlue, which goes in there, as well as the diesel. Externally, we've got an external barbecue point. We've got, excuse the hands, you've got access to under one of the bench seats, which will make more sense when we're inside. There's a winding handle. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. There's a safe that's built in, and that's bolted into the chassis of the vehicle. External 240 volt socket. That's where your LPG gas goes, so you don't have to mess about with changing bottles. It's all done at fuel filling stations, which is a much cheaper and convenient option in both UK and abroad. Water filling point. There are 3 ways in which you can add water to this van. The most obvious one is just put a hose inside there. I'll show you the other 2 as we go around. Electric fold-out step with an anti-slip cover on it. Habitation door with light above. Being the later model, this has LED rear lights. All the lights on the whole vehicle are LED. Rear reversing camera. It's also more so than a reversing camera. It's more of a rear view mirror, but I'll show you that as we go in. 2 bike rack. This has had the additional mounts fitted, or the updates internally, so it doesn't pull through the back wall. If they haven't had that done, unfortunately they are at risk of that. Tow bar fitted. I used to tow a box trailer with a motorcycle inside, and you know, it's more than powerful enough to pull that without even knowing it's there. Underneath, on this side, the silver thing is a levelling jack, 1 on each side. They're not really for levelling the van, they're there for stability. If you're parked and there's relatively high winds, rather than the van rocking around, you can just put the jacks down, and it helps stabilise the van in winds. That's all they're for. Moving round, we have the wastewater exit, and then next to that, which I'll point out just there, is the check valve for the spare wheel. So the spare wheel is mounted underneath, which you can see under there, but rather than having to scrabble around underneath there to check the tyre pressure, you just do it from that little valve there. Waste toilet cassette. This is filled with water externally, so it doesn't use up the standard water of the van. It just has its own water fill point, and then you can check the level of that through this glass here. It holds more water than you would think. It holds around about 20 litres. It's quite a lot of water. Rear fridge vents. This door is the 240 hookup door. This is the vent for the Truma heating. This is an accessory that I fitted. They don't normally come with this. This is an external hot and cold shower, which could be used for muddy dogs or clean down bikes or whatever. But it's an external hot and cold shower. Here you've got a TV hookup point, so it's got a power socket and aerial sockets. And then here, this is an electronic water fill point. So if you're on a campsite that has mains water on the site that you're actually on the pitch itself, you can connect a socket to this, connect the other end to the tap, leave the tap on, and it will automatically fill the water. So as the water is used, it will then top it back up again. You can do the same if you carry a water container, a bit like caravans do. So if you've got a water container, you can use a pump that you can fit into the container. That fits into that socket there, and then that will do the same thing. It just makes it more convenient than having to keep moving the motorhome every time you need to add water to it. This is what they call a wet locker, and it simply means that you can put wet things in there without it adversely impacting the van. In here you'll see some levelling ramps, there's some power wire, and there's some water pipes underneath, and then the white one underneath there, that's the external shower. They're all included. We're leaving all of those in there. This is the, excuse the cobwebs, this is the drain down for the fresh water. That's about it externally. I can't think of anything else I need to add. In terms of ownership, I may have mentioned this, apologies if I'm just repeating myself. I'm the third owner, so two former owners. I've owned it for about 2.5 years. Excuse the plane going over. And it's been ideal, and it's a perfect UK-based van. You know, if you're used to caravans and things like that, it's an ideal step up, because you'll see the interior layout is very similar to a lot of the UK type caravans. Makes a huge double bed, or two singles, whichever is your preference, but at least you have a choice. Let's go inside. Now, I've got it set up with all the blinds closed. Now, today is a particularly sunny day, as you would have seen. And it goes pretty dark, and the camera is actually making it look much lighter than it actually is. It's pretty dark in here now. I'll open up some of the blinds so we can get some light in here. But they're all concertina blinds. They all have fly nets in the top and blackout blinds, thermal blackout blinds in the bottom. Thermal being there, they've got silver on the back, as you may have seen as we were walking around the outside. So the internal layout consists of two bench seats, two opposing bench seats that can slide out or fold out and make a double bed, or you can fold them out a little bit, a foot or so, turn the front seats around. I'll show you all of this in pictures, or if I get time I'll do a separate video of it, with the seats then folded, turned around, and then they make part of the single beds as well. So you fold this section out here, so it's in line with the edges of the seats. So you've still got a walkway down the centre. That way, if you need to get up, have access to the bathroom in the evenings or whatever, it becomes a little bit more convenient. Front opening sunroof. Doesn't open very far. It is literally that. It's more of a sunroof, but it's not recommended to have it open when driving. You've got storage lockers in both sides at the front. This van's got a lot of storage. That's one thing you will not have a lack of, is storage. And there are, along this side alone, there's 4 of these. This one at the back is a little bit smaller because it has that section in it there. Microwave oven. Loads and loads of paperwork to go with it. Spare keys. Fridge vents in the back there. Number plate for the trailer, if you have a trailer, at least it goes with the tow bar. We're going to include an awning. It's a, as it says on the side of it, an Outdoor Revolution pole awning, but it will be included. There is an alarm and tracker fitted to the van. The tracker subscription you'll need to sort out yourself. Obviously the alarm is a Thatcham Cat 1, I believe. with a separate immobilizer. So you can see the sensors to it are mounted here, and then there's another section down here, there, which is for the separate immobilizer. You don't use it, you know, you never have to touch that part of it, but it flashes when it's armed, but it does switch off after a period of time, so it doesn't annoy you at night. Down there in the corner is the LPG gauge. When the ignition is on or the engine's running, that then lights up. Standard boxer affair in terms of the fixtures and fittings. In terms of mileage, as of today, it's done 13,050 miles. And it's not likely to change, unfortunately, because I just don't get time to use it, which is the whole point of it being for sale. On the dash, with a separate power switch, is an Apple CarPlay stroke Android stroke dash cam. So it has all the functions of what you would normally see in a modern car. So, and if you've got it connected to your phone, as I have, it will then connect. I want that on there. It will then show you all of your App Store apps that you can then utilise. There is sat-nav built into the van itself, but they tend to be pretty hopeless because A, they're always out of date, but secondly, they don't have the ability to be able to program in sizes in terms of width, height, etc, etc. Obviously, if you have a navigation app that has that facility, then you can utilise that on the Apple CarPlay function. The other thing it has is the little knob on the top of it is actually a dash cam, so it's got a built-in dash cam as well. The rear camera, as I mentioned in the walk around, is this one here. If I get... So you'll see it's, rather than a reversing camera, which it is, but it's more of a rear view camera. It's the same sort of view you'd expect to see of your rear view mirror in your car. Passenger airbag. Why do I point that out? Because you'll be surprised, a lot of these motorhomes have a big hole there because they're not fitted with one. In the top we have a ventilated storage area. It's connected to the air conditioning, so if your air conditioning on, this is for the cab air conditioning. It will keep whatever you've got in there cool. Storage shelf underneath, glove box underneath that, cup holders down there. There is an input down the bottom there for a USB stick, so you can play that music through the head unit. Blinds obviously throughout the cab, doors and front windscreen. As I say, the seats do revolve. In here we've got a standalone table which can be used internally or externally. There is a position in the centre there at the end of where the awning is for a separate table, which we tend to have set up all the time when we're parked up. So we have these seats turned around, and then we use that as an occasional table and put our feet on here, which is how we tend to use it. So as I mentioned, lots of storage. Same on this side. So again, there's 4 cupboards on this side. They're all, again, big cupboards. Loads and loads of storage in here. Going to show you through them all. The obligatory Auto-Sleeper wine glasses. And in here, you've got the control unit for the Truma, which is what they call the iNet box, which means you can basically adjust the temperature, etc. via an app. That's what that's about. That is a Wi-Fi facility, a dual SIM facility. It was fitted in the van when I bought it. I don't really understand it. It's a bit too technical for me, if I'm honest. But there is a 5G antenna on the roof, and that's a 4G router, dual SIM router. Internally, you've got the control panel for the Truma, which is the heating side of it. But in addition to heating, this is also where you can adjust the air conditioning unit. So close that door. That's what they call the habitation air conditioning unit, but it's more than just that, because this is also a heater. So in the winter you can use it as a heater. This only works on 240 hookup, but you can use the heater in the winter and you can use the air conditioning together with the ventilation, etc., for the summer. Ideal for the conditions in which I'm trying to record this at the moment, which is about 25 degrees. Hob, full size oven, so you get separate grill and separate oven, both. Storage underneath. Now in there you'll see that that's wrapped in like a silver foil. That's the wheel arch, and that's because this particular van has the winter pack, which means that the tanks underneath are insulated and heated, again for winter conditions, and all the liners, etc., are all lined as well. So that's why you see that. Under the hob you've got 3 gas, 1 electric. So again, if you're on site you can save your gas for your outside barbecues, etc., and just use the electric. Underneath we've got a lighting panel. Power's not on. Switch the power on. Got a lighting panel under there, and also a fan for sticking out in a wall, and if you're doing water, etc., it gets rid of the steam. Kitchen window, sink facility with a drainer. It's obviously hot and cold water. Blown air heating. So this is underneath when we were looking at the outside of the van, we were looking through a cover underneath I explained was underneath one of the bench seats. So that's this bench seat. I'll just move that forward a little bit and show you under here. So that whole locker is all storage, and that handle under there is the handle that I alluded to, that had that wound down the rear stabilizers if it were windy. That's what they're for. That's what that handle's for. Power sockets, there's quite a few in this van, and we have added 1 or 2 extra ones just in logical places where you would expect to see them. So there's one that side, there's one the opposing side in the same sort of place, there's 2 over there, and then there's another 2 there. And in addition to that, we jump into the bathroom area. You don't normally get one in the bathroom, which is a bit stupid, but we've put one, you can see that, just up in that corner, just to here. And that's if you want to use a hairdryer or something like that in the van. Whilst we're in here, cassette toilet, window, some light in here. Why did I see that socket a little bit easier now? Just up there. Cupboard, towels, toilet rolls, etc. Wardrobe. That's the table that I alluded to at the front, the one that we have up mostly at normal times. Hanging rail. And then you've got 3 big drawers, all the same sort of depth. I'm showing you all of these so you can see none of them are marked or damaged or anything like that. So in addition to that storage, you've also got more storage underneath the sink unit. So that's the sink unit. Electric toothbrush holders, we'll be leaving those in. Towel holder, normal soap holders, etc. Big storage area underneath there. Shower area. Now this is considerably better than the new versions of these. If you go and look at a brand new one of these now, they don't have the glass door anymore. They have a concertina door, and the interior of this is, for some bizarre reason, is black. It must be like showering inside a coffin. 2 drain holes, so you don't have to be exactly level for the water to drain away. It doesn't creak when you stand in it. very solid, good size shower unit. Take the mat out so you can see that nothing's being concealed or hidden. It's in excellent condition. Vent that makes a racket. I'll give you an idea. But it does help keep the steam out when you're having a shower. Makes it nice and light inside. Additional lights as well, so you can make the bathroom area quite bright. There's two of these big LED lights in here. All of these lights are touch. So that's the bathroom area. That's the back side of the air conditioning unit, so you've got vents on both the front and back. There's a fire extinguisher and a bin on the door. Let's turn that vent off. So back to the kitchen area. I'm jumping around a bit, apologies for that, but I'm just doing things as I think of them. Cutlery drawer, storage area. Another big cupboard, and underneath likewise, that's the isolation point for the gas. Storage underneath the sink, so nothing has been wasted, none of the space has been wasted. More drawers, another drawer, another fold down, again another big area. Again, all insulated underneath. And then the other side, we've got the fridge, which has a freezer box in the top. The little cloth in there is just to keep it slightly open so you don't get any damp or anything in it. And as you can see, it's like brand new, as all of this van is. Bearing in mind, it's been used and it's not exactly new. It's over 6 years old. Slide out worktop area. Makes the area of the kitchen nice and big. More drawers this side. Big cupboard underneath. Goes back way further than you would expect it to. That must be at least 2 feet deep. And that's the control panel for all of the electrics with all the fuses, RCDs, trip switches, etc, etc. The van has been serviced in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations, which, to be fair, because of the mileage, is hardly anything. But it has had its annual habitation checks. I've had that done every year since I've owned it, and it's passed. There's never ever been any damp in this van. You'll know if you walk into a van and it's got damp, you can smell it straight away. It's a really difficult thing to try and hide. Some people do. Obviously, I wouldn't be selling this if I felt there was any issues with it. I'd just simply part exchange it or sell it to a dealer if that were the case. But it's not the case at all. Move this forward and lift this up. That's the heater unit. That's the Truma heater unit. And as you will see, there are 2 leisure batteries in here. Normally these vans only come with 1, but this one's got 2. In here, as it says, battery charger. That's the outside water filling point. That's the TV point in the back there. That's the outside shower. Other gas isolators, those are the main ones. The other ones that were underneath the that other kitchen thing are just for the cooker part of it. Down here you've got the isolator valve and frost protection valve for the water. And that's about what we've got under there. So very little storage in there. There's a little bit down here, but not a lot really. So it's primarily under the other side and the vast number of cupboards that you've got. Now I think I've covered everything. I don't think I've missed anything. TV aerial. No, I don't think anybody watches terrestrial TV anymore, do they? This is technically the TV cupboard. These are initially designed, so this bracket here, this TV bracket here, is normally mounted inside, but it limits the size of TV you can have. We had a 21-inch TV in here, which is why we mounted it on the outside. So, you know, it's entirely up to you what you choose to do. But you could mount a TV bracket inside and have a small TV in there, or you can just, you know, have it as we do and have it on there. Entirely up to you. So, the key takeaways with this particular van is the Apple CarPlay, the tracker, the Cat 1 alarm, but the big one is probably the air conditioning unit. And as I said, at the time of filming this, it's about 25 degrees. It's been much warmer than that over the last few days, and you would definitely want one of those. I hadn't seen this and shown you this one. This is the other vent. This one opens a much higher than the previous one. Again, this has both a blackout vent, or shade, sorry, and also a bug screen, which does normally clip up. Interesting, don't go over that, I'll have a look at that. And then this just winds up, so this opens up quite high, let a lot of air in. That's as high as that goes. Again, don't leave it open when you're travelling, you keep it closed. I think that's it. And this complements the advert on Autotrader. There's also a lot of photos on there, 70 odd photos on there. So if I've missed anything, feel free to get in touch and ask. Thanks then. Here's a quick addition to the video. So these beds are made up in their single bed format. I'll add a double bed format in a moment. These beds are singularly, when they're made up like this, they're a maximum of about 6'4" in length. However, if you have them at 6'4", you do get a bit of a gap between this seat and that seat. So realistically, they're about 6 feet, maybe a touch over. But it does give you this big walking area down the middle. So as I said, if you do need to get up in the night, nice and convenient. Now we use Duvet bedding in our van, which we'll be retaining. They won't be included in the van, but they have like a mattress that's built into them. So as a consequence, you don't feel any of the lumps and bumps and that sort of thing. So they're nice and convenient. I'll put it into double bed mode and come back to you. So this is double bed mode. So they measure 4'5" wide, which I guess is a king size bed, and they are 6'9" long. If you take into consideration, obviously, the additional length of the tape measure itself. And obviously you can have the seats either in that position, facing forward, or facing the other way, whatever is your preference, entirely up to you. It makes no difference in the double bed mode. So very comfortable, nice and soft, but supportive at the same time, so not too soft. Just coming back to this shade, I don't know what was going on with this. As you can now see, it works perfectly. Yeah, no idea what was going on with that. I don't think there's anything else that I've missed, other than there is a fly net in the door, which you would expect to see. The winder handle there is for the awning, that's where we position it, and you've got a fire extinguisher down there by the door. I think that's it. As said before, any other questions, yeah, feel free to contact me through the advert. Thanks then.